Hi, my name is Ilana Earhart, and my research proposal is Alternatives to Open Education Resources, Popular Web Resources as Academic Research. INFO285 Research Methods in Library and Information Science. In recent years, academic libraries have attempted to address student information needs with learning objects like open education resources that offer links to free resources and university resources funded primarily through tuition. Despite this effort, students still prefer resources like Google and Wikipedia. Additionally, academic library websites are often the last resources visible in Internet research results. A way to change this is to try search engine optimization as a method of improving student use of the library web pages. The problem: though academic library resources like OER are full of relevant and useful information, students often are completely unaware of these pages of the library website subject guides. Such resources are often buried more clicks deep in the library websites than students are willing to go, and they tend to require more personal motivation than most students will exert. And the question, or questions: how can academic libraries incorporate popular social networking and internet technologies into their websites to meet student research needs and research habits? Also, how can academic libraries educate students about how to use these resources to their best advantage in ways that the open education resource pages have not been able to suffice? And the Lit Review. This review explores perceptions of open education resource web pages, usefulness of search engine optimization, significance of Web 2.0, and utility of popular information sources. Chu and Mitchell explore open education resources as an affordable response to the scholarly communication crisis. Though the research they present is biased to support use of OER, the authors do bring up some important concerns about the cost of journal subscriptions. Search engine optimization is one part of a potential response to the expense of journals and the lack of attention paid to OER. Information seeking is a human behavior that needs to be addressed in website design rather than librarians creating websites that direct student searches. Web 2.0 is a form of interactive web experience that is a crucial element of the popular sources students are using. Most university students have transitioned from library information searching to popular sources, and it is critical to find out from students how they rate and evaluate these sources. Sources like YouTube and Twitter lack the evaluative information available for scholarly research, so their use has to be carefully addressed in library instruction and incorporation into library resources. And the literature gap. In the literature, several concerns remain unaddressed. There is a lack of information concerning how students and librarians perceive open education resources. There are so many instances when the OER is not satisfactory in libraries, though this was not addressed in the literature. Also, concerning database use, there is very little extant research exploring the intersection of personalization and academic library databases. Many library databases are already being personalized, though there is not enough research to show how well or poorly this is working. And the methodology. The study population is comprised of undergraduate and graduate university students on campus who respectively do or do not utilize the library, which will include on-site and distant students. Sampling design. The study aims to describe the user population and potential users of the library rather than analyze it. For this reason, descriptive research is better suited to frame the survey questions. In an effort to aggregate the intended population for responses, purposive sampling will be an effective means to survey only those relevant to the study. The survey will be administered through Google Forms. This information will then be transferred to Excel spreadsheets. And data collection instrument. The survey method is the most useful of all data collection methods for my study, as the data I need are easily conveyed through qualitative and quantitative questionnaires. The information available through a survey questionnaire will address my topic with enough substance to satisfy the need for data to analyze for responses to my research questions. For a cross-sectional study, I should be able to use data from my survey to analyze student use and preference data. The topic of my research does not rely on human interaction for data collection, which might require in-person interviewing, as I am inquiring about virtual technology use rather than in-person communication. And data analysis. The survey administered is primarily quantitative with a small portion of qualitative questioning. Though any program that can help analyze both qualitative and quantitative information can be used, HyperQual is used for the study. It will be useful to see both types of information side by side when looking at the data. Primarily, Excel spreadsheets will help analyze the quantitative data captured via Google Forms and paper responses. Ethical considerations. In this study, ethical considerations will center primarily on preserving privacy and observing the needs of students with disabilities. To preserve privacy, responses will only be accessible to those analyzing data. The preservation of data for only the eyes of directly involved researchers will preserve the privacy of all respondents. Surveys can be administered with help from assistants who can be of service to students with hearing and sight disabilities. Also, the ADA-compliant technologies available in the library can help students with disabilities participate in the study. And the limitations. When studying such large populations, it is necessary to standardize as much as possible. While so much is gained through the breadth of the survey, there is also a loss of significant smaller groups of information that cannot be assessed when searching for the broadest spanning results. Another weakness is the inability of online and mail-in surveys to capture data about social life. There is also a limitation in the scope of the study. The survey will be focused on the student population of one university. This creates a specific picture of the information resources of one institution, so the information has to be considered in context when compared to other areas and universities. And the significance. Studying the use of social networking sites and technologies used among the student population on a university campus will help to assess how librarians might use these technologies to provide information services that students are more likely to access. It is widely known that Wikipedia is a commonly used source for its ubiquity in Google searches. The same concept of push and pull of internet technologies can be employed in libraries where information services seek to meet students where they are rather than divert their attention to resources that seem out of the way and which often feel unfamiliar. And in summary, this study has sought to collect data which will improve information services for students in universities. The student population is often unaware of the plethora of resources available to them through the library's online presence. In order to attract students to these resources, an effort must be made to make resources available in virtual spaces where students often go. When information is accessible in familiar formats, the library can succeed at both providing research tools and providing a form of customer service that meets students where they are rather than expecting them to fetch the resources they need. The transactional model for library information services is shifting from self-service to customer service. and this shift needs to be reflected in the methods we use to make resources available and visible. Thank you so much for your time.